Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to day 8. I'm continuing on the challenge by Ink Journal. It's called 30 Inks, 30 Days. So the ink that I chose for today is a little sample I've got of KWZ Thief's Red, sent to me by pen friend Banu. And I love this ink. And I don't always like red inks. You'll see in a little while I've had quite a time with samples trying to find a red I liked. And I'm narrowing in on it, and this is quite pleasing of an ink. Let's see how it did in here. This is the Rhodia Gold Book. Oh look, we filled up another 4 quad here. I really like it a lot. It's deep red, so it's I guess it borders on burgundy, but my eyesight is kind of funny, so I'm not sure. But there it is on the little Tomoe River swatch, and we'll see it in the notebook in a minute. I was trying to call it Chief's Red, but it's Thief's Red with a T. And I didn't realize that because my label was a little bit chopped on the side, and I just like inserted what I thought it was. So, but it, Anderson Pens had it sold out right now, but I found it on Pen Chalet for $15 for 50 milliliter. And my first impressions are very favorable to this ink. It's vibrant, it's pretty, it's not, it's kind of what I'm looking for in a red, I think. Very close, and I'll show you some other reds in a minute. The closest that I have is Diamine Classic Red in sample form. So let's go into the various places I've written with it so far today. Of course, it's the ink of the day, so I'll be using it all day. So I'm in my Tomoe River Cafe note first, and every morning I kind of journal about the prior day. Doing really good on the intermittent fasting and low carb, but I like how this looks. Now, when I started out, of course, was about midway through the first dip in the Serendipity pen. So up here it did fade, and I think you may be able to see that. At least I can see it right around there. It started to fade, so I dipped again. And it's neat because you get a little bit of the range. So, I mean, I just like it. It's pleasing. It's dark enough for me. And maroon is one of my favorite colors. You know, although it's called red, I'm sort of wondering if it's in that range. So there's what it looked like on that. And then I did the standard tests I've been doing every day. And I might stop showing the UV paper because I'm sorry that I've recommended it in a way. That's a broad nib, but of course it did what all the other inks have done. It sort of bled through that. That's not reflecting on the ink at all, though, because we come over to Leuchtturm, and it did just fine in the broad nib. No bleed through at all. Very little, you know, just like all the rest of them, really. And, of course, it was great on the Rhodia dot grid. Looks really nice. I see a little more shading coming in on the better papers. And then on the CVS caliber paper, there didn't seem to be any problem. Let me get it up closer. I don't think I even see any feathering or anything. Nothing that would bother me. So, and then on the Office Depot notebook that is my daily process, the messy notebook now, it did great, and I was happy to see that because it would have to pass that test for me. I'm looking for a bottle. I'm really wanting to add a bottle of red. Let's glance back at what I have in full bottles, and the only thing close is well, close, in the red family at all, which it really isn't, is Robert Oster Lipstick Red, and there's a story behind that one. And then Noodler's Black Swan and Australian Roses. I love it. But I'm still looking, you know, as my quest is for something red, it's because it'd be nice for Christmas, it would be nice for Valentine's Day, and it would be nice just to have a truer red in addition. So it is one of the colors that I hope to add to my bottle collection. So that that sounded funny. But you know, that's what I'm looking for. So let's get into what I consider the most fun part, which is this part where I get out, I like to get out my paintbrush and bunches of my samples. And so here it is. Here's the KWZ Chief's Red up here. I always put the ink of the day in the left hand corner to, you know, start out. And not with every color would I have 9 to compare, but But I seem to have gone crazy trying to find a red. It more so even than the brown quest I was on, till I found SBRE brown. But you see how much, or I do anyway, I hope you do, how much lighter Diamine Wild Strawberry gets. That gets right into sort of what I'd call the peach category almost. Let's see. But down here is the Diamine Classic Red, which seems to compare, well, somewhat to this. Quite a bit, I think. And then we've got the deeper, we've got Diamine Red Dragon and Diamine Oxblood, which when I first got Oxblood and wrote with it, I didn't like it. I was very like, oh. But I'm looking at it now differently. And I wonder, you know, I was using a medium, must have been more like a fine. And, gee, I'm just getting carried away here. But I have been looking for a red. And then I got this all done. You know, which is fun with a paintbrush. And no problem. I mean, I could do 6 of them. But then I realized the one ink that I have had success with in the red family, really, really successful with, other than the other 2 I showed you, is Kvitko Ruby Red. And I am about to finish a sample. Actually, on day 22, we're going to visit that ink. So we don't want to go too far into it. I just wanted to compare it and see how it is. It's brighter, I guess. It has a different tone. I mean, these people know what they're doing that make these inks. They can make such specific and different and unique ones that we got to have them all almost. And then on day 28, we will look at J. Arbonne Rue Granat too. And that, you know, see, that gets down here like this. It more compares with like the darker ones, the Red Dragon, the Oxblood. So that helps me to see this kind of all in one place. Not quite, but it really does. And I have been right on the verge of ordering the small bottle of the Kvitko Ruby Red, because I harvested everything out of the rest of my cartridges to use, and I've got very little left. Just about 2 milliliters left. So that's where I'm at. It's quite a study here. Looking at all of these, and I do hope to find one that I can order that will be my standard red that I'm happy with, and not, you know, I don't want to get too much ink going. So there we are. I guess it's time for the dunk test. Got that ready here. Oh, before that, I just did want to say one thing about, someone asked about what I did about mistakes, like saying I guess in the bullet journal and that kind of thing. I did get this correction pen. It's all messy here, but it was on jet pens, and I've been using it a long time. Oh, I would like for focus to happen, but I guess it just doesn't want to. Anyway, if you go to anywhere like that, jet pens or somewhere, and look for a correction pen, they actually have one that's more suitable toward the ivory paper too, but at the time the only one in stock was the white, and I do use this all the time, and my husband comes and borrows it too. So when I had to doctor this, you could probably see it, but it helps me to be able to fix things like that without having to redo. So hopefully that'll be helpful to the person that was asking that question one day. Let me move this out of here. Okay, so we're going to do this, and then I got a couple of things I thought I'd talk about while it was... Ooh, that's pretty. Okay. It's lifting that color up a little. Let's see what it does over a few minutes here while we finish. This was what I wanted to talk about. Hopefully I can tie this in. This is kind of... But what I learned about both crystals and color is that they correspond to the different chakras, and this is something I've been studying. I've taken 1 or 2 classes, just, you know, not all day classes, not in-depth things, just a couple of hours at a time. And so, for instance, the throat chakra lines up with the color blue, and the root chakra lines up with red, and that's what we're talking about today, is the red. So let me see if I can find that. I'll probably... I find it fascinating because someone had once told me, well, it was Karen, I believe, my friend who's a crystal expert, that if you wanted to easily pick a crystal that would help you, just if you're familiar with the chakras and in any area you might be having trouble, and this kind of goes over what, this is the root chakra, which has to do with being grounded. Now, I can't speak to it without reading what this is, because this is a new study for me. But I like the idea that you could, you know, if you had an issue, like it talks here about lower back pain, feet issues. And I do. I have these foot cramps, and I have, you know, of course it's partly injury, and same thing with the back stuff, but eating disorders, which, you know, I definitely have had an eating disorder, no question about it. So when I look into, okay, if I want to heal something that's to do with this chakra or energy center in my body, then I might want to use a crystal, and I also might want to use color. And so we come in with the reds for this root chakra. And even one of my friends has said, wear the color you're working on, if you're working on a specific area in the body, or, you know, and so there's that. And then there's also the crystals, and this actually gives the crystals, it mentions for root chakra, carnelian, ruby, bloodstone, hematite, and garnet. So this is a neat reference. It just, and the book I use is more like a workbook. It's Chakra Balancing. That just in case, because, you know, in case you're interested, by Anaday Judith. And this is all scribbled in and worked in, and it's not something I do all the time, but little by little I've tried to learn. So as I pull in all these colors, it's very interesting to me which colors I'm most attracted to. Like here's the crown chakra with purple, and the third eye, which is that deeper, like indigo, and then throat chakra. I worked on that for a whole year. I mean, I seriously did, because that has to do with finding your voice and feeling empowered and confidence and trying to, you know, I don't know, assert yourself or whatever. But, and then heart chakra and solar plexus. Can't even remember what that one is. That's crazy. Sacral chakra. Okay, so there's a lot going on there too. But so that's a whole area of fun study. I just thought I'd mention it while we were looking at this. And this is going, but I can still read it. Interesting. I don't know a lot about KWZ inks, except they're made in Poland. But I'd like to study a little more about some of these ink companies. I find it fascinating. I think on the website that I looked at, well, both of them, I think it said it's handmade fountain pen ink. Interesting. Anyway, I'd like to learn more about what that means and the whole 9 yards. So I've got a little wordy today. So let me leave you with the color for tomorrow. The color for tomorrow is Bunga Box Hatsukoi. So we're going blue tomorrow. And I have a lot of blue, because blue and purple are my very favorite colors. So join me tomorrow if you want to see more blue. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.